Hello everyone. Welcome to the Expert Talk series of Zoho Payroll. Thank you for joining today's session. My name is Aditya and I am a product expert from the Zoho Payroll. In today's session, I will be explaining you about onboarding successfully into Zoho Payroll. In today's agenda, we will be discussing prerequisites, onboarding one-time settings, employee onboarding and data preparation, importing data, historical data import, additional configuration, parent processing. For convenience, since this is an in-depth explanation of the product, we will be dividing this into two parts. In the first part, we will be discussing till fourth, that is importing data, and then we will be covering the remaining modules in the next part two, okay, of this session. So quickly, we will start part one. So what data is required to set up Zoho Payroll? You will be, before signing up for Zoho Payroll or to configure the Zoho Payroll organization, we need organization logo, name and address, organization statutory details, salary component details, pay schedule information, employee information, and historical data. So next, one-time configuration. When it comes to one-time configuration, in the Zoho Payroll, you will have to configure organization profile, work locations. In case if you have multiple branches, you will be adding multiple work locations, statutory components, salary components, taxes, and pay schedule. So what are statutory components? Statutory components are nothing but employee provident fund, employee state insurance, professional tax, and labor welfare fund. Employee provident fund is divided into two parts. That is employer's contribution 12% and employee contribution 12%. And employee state insurance, that is nothing but ESI, is divided into two parts again. Employer contribution 3.25% and employee contribution 0.75%. When it comes to professional tax and labor welfare fund, it is auto-calculated by the system based on the work locations assigned to the employees. If you have different branches and the employees are working in the different work locations, then you can, if you are configuring this into the Zoho Payroll application, based on that, the professional tax will be auto-calculated by the system. Now, salary components. When it comes to salary components, we have earnings, deductions, and reimbursements in the Zoho Payroll. Earnings are divided into fixed pay and variable pay. Fixed pay are allowances which are fully taxable, for example, basic and HRA. And variable pay components. Variable pay components are, they can be taxable or non-taxable. For example, annual bonus, and this can be added, a variable pay can be part of the CTC, or else you can also add it while processing the pay run. So under deductions, we have pre-tax deductions and post-tax deductions. Pre-tax deductions are nothing but the deductions which affects the taxes, nothing but national pension scheme and Mediclaim policies. These components, the tax will be calculated after deduction of the pre-tax deduction amounts, and the tax will be calculated on the remaining amount. Post-tax deductions are nothing but these components are like ad hoc deductions, and these components will not affect the taxes of the employees. In case if the reimbursements are part of the CTC, you can add them as in the employee salary structure, and upon approval, this reimbursement amount will be non-taxable and it will be paid to the employees. In case any unclaimed reimbursements are there, then these reimbursements will be paid to the employees at the end of the financial year as a taxable amount. You can also configure this and pay this reimbursements on in the same month as well. So how to set up one-time configuration in the Zoho Payroll? So quickly, when we sign up into Zoho Payroll organization, first you will see the dashboard. In the dashboard, you will see different sections wherein you will configure the Zoho Payroll. Organization profile, you will be adding organization logo, organization name, industry type, date format, separator, and organization address. This will be your primary location. Next, the filing address. The primary location when you sign up for Zoho Payroll will be reflected as organization filing address. Okay. Once you add these details, you can click on save. Okay, in case if you have multiple work locations, you will be able to add the work location details under work locations. To add work locations, you need to click on add work location, add or name, work location name, address, select the state, then enter the city, pin code, and click on save. Once the locations are saved, you will be able to change the details in case if you want to change the filing address, you can change it from the here filing address section. Okay, you can update the details. Next, after work location, we have statutory details. In the statutory details, we have employee provident fund. In the employee provident fund, you will add a PF number, organization PF number, select the contribution rate, employee. You can set the contribution rate as 12% of the actual PF wages, or else restrict it to 15,000. Now, what is PF wage here? PF wage is nothing but the components, salary components, which has to be considered for EPF calculation. In the Zoho Payroll, for all the salary components, fixed salary components, you will be able to select the EPF, whether to consider it for EPF calculation or not. Currently, we have restricted the EPF employee contribution to 15,000 and employer contribution to 15,000. Now here, as per this example, our configuration, on the right side, you can see the sample EPF calculation. Considering the EPF wages as 20,000, the EPF employee contribution will be 1,800. That is restricted, since it is restricted to 15,000, 12% of 15,000 is 1,800. PF employer contribution, in case if you have employee pension scheme enabled for the individual employees, 8.33% of 15,000, that is 1,250 will be contributed towards employee pension scheme, and PF EPF employer contribution minus EPS amount, that is 550, will be contributed to the employer contribution amount. The total contribution of employers will be 1,800. Here you can enable to deduct that employer's contribution from the employee CTC. In case this option is enabled, you can also choose whether to deduct EDIL charges and admin charges from the employee's CTC. In case if you are deducting EDIL, it is restricted to 75 rupees. 0.5% of PF wages restricted to 75 rupees. Admin charges, it will be 0.5% of PF wages. In case in your organization, if you have a set of employees for whom you want to restrict the EPF wages to 15,000 and another set for whom you want to deduct EPF wages at 12% of the PF wages. You can enable this option, override PF contribution rate at employee level, and then this you will be able to configure it for individual employees in the salary detail section. You can set it at 12% of the PF wages or else restrict the PF wages to 15,000. So now after configuring this, we have an option to how EPF should be calculated in case LOP is applied. The first one is prorate restricted EPF wages. Here, the restricted EPF wages means 15,000. So now, and we also have consider all applicable salary components if PF wages is less than 15,000 after LOP. So what are these two options? These are nothing but if in case an employee joins in the middle of the month, or else if the employee has any LOPs, what happens is the EPF wages will be the EPF amount will be prorated based on the configuration. So let's just see example how these components will be considered. Now we have both these options are disabled. I'm just checking, showing you how this will affect the EPF amount. So now EPF wages here is 25,000. The current configuration is EPF contribution settings are restricted to contribution 15,000. Employee contribution is restricted to 15,000, and prorate restricted wages is disabled. Consider all applicable components is disabled. Okay, so as I have mentioned, it is 25,000. PF wages are 25,000. In case any employee has LOPs, 15 days of LOPs, the EPF wages will be 12,500, and 12% of 12,500 will be 1,500. Okay, so now we will enable the prorate restricted EPF wages, and we will see the example again. So now, in case without LOPs, considering 30 days per month, the EPF wages of the employee is 25,000. If we are unable, if we are adding 15 days of LOPs, the EPF wages will be the 15,000 is prorated. Here, the 15,000 is prorated, and then the EPF wages is 12% of 7,000. It is 9,900 rupees has been will be EPF amount that will be deducted. Now, next, enabling that, consider all applicable salary components if EPF wages is less than 15,000. In this example, if we are adding 15 days of LOPs, now the system will consider the remaining components. Since we are enabling EPF option for these components as well, the system will consider these components, and then the EPF will be calculated, which is 12% of 15,000, that is 1,800. Now, after adding, configuring this in the Zoho Payroll, you can click on Save and proceed to save the settings. Next, we have ESI. In the ESI, you need to enter the organization ESI number. By default, we have configured the EPF employee contribution and employer contribution, that is 0.75 and 3.25. And in case if you want to deduct employer contribution from the employee CTC, you can just enable this option and save the settings. Next, as I have informed, the professional tax will be auto-calculated by the system. You can check the tax slabs by clicking on View Slabs, or else you can edit by clicking on the pencil icon and change the tax slab. You can enter the PT number, or you can add the slabs, tax slabs as well. You can modify it as per your requirement. Labor welfare fund, in case your organization is registered for under labor welfare funds, and then if you are deducting LWF from the employees CTC, then you can just configure this in the Zoho Payroll. You can enable this option, and then at the employee level, you can enable it for individual employees based on their restrictions. Then after configuring statutory components, we have salary components. In the Zoho Payroll, we have earnings, deductions, and reimbursements, like I have shown in the PPT. Now, under earnings, we have commonly used components. Basic, by default, this will be considered for EPF and ESI. And in case if you want to create any new component, you can click on Add Component, Earning, select the component from the list. If the component is not available in the list, you can create a new component using Custom Allowance component. Custom Allowance component, if it is a fixed pay, it will always be considered for taxes. So this will be part of the salary structure, employee salary structure, and this will be considered for taxes as well. In case if you are selecting variable pay option, you can mark it as employee in the employee salary structure, and this can be considered for taxes, or else you can unselect the taxable option as well. In case if it is a taxable component, the variable pay component, then you can select at the tax preferences, you can set it as how you want to deduct the taxes, whether you want to deduct the taxes in the subsequent pay runs, or else if you want to deduct in the same pay run. Once you configure this, you can click on Save to save the settings. Under deductions, we have pre-tax deductions and post-tax deductions. So for any, if you want to create any pre-tax deductions, you need to click on Add Component, click on Pre-tax Deductions, and you will be able to select the deduction plan as other non-taxable deduction. And you need to associate this deduction with any of the investments under 80C and 80D. You can enter the name in payslip. If the employer contribution is part of the CTC, select that option. If it is pro rata based, if you want to calculate based on the working days of the employee, select the pro rata base option, mark it as active, and save the settings. So under reimbursements, we have 5 reimbursements in the Zoho Payroll. Okay, so to configure a reimbursement component, you can either click on the component name, or else you can click on the 3 dots, edit, enter the name in payslip, select how you want to handle unclaimed reimbursements. You can select to pay it at the end of the financial year, or else pay it in the same month. Enter the amount and click on Save to save the settings. Once this, apart from these earnings, deductions, and reimbursement, we have another component concept called flexible benefit component. Flexible benefit plan is nothing but we it is giving an option to the employees, a flexibility to the employees to create their salary structure, to add this component as part of their salary structure. This option is available for all the tax benefit components like uniform allowance components, children education allowance component, leave travel allowance components, and also the reimbursement components, all the reimbursement components. If this option include as a flexible benefit component option is enabled, you will have both two options. One, you can allow the employee to override that amount, maximum amount, that is 2,500 in this case, or else restrict this employee from overriding this amount. If restrict option is enabled, the employee will not be able to edit this 2,500 rupees. Apart from once this salary components configure is done, you will be able to next we will discuss about taxes. In the taxes section, we have you need to add organization PAN details, TAN, AO code, and tax deductor. Tax deductor can be employee or non-employee. In case of employees, you can select the employees from the list of the employees that you have added in the Zoho Payroll organization. In case of non-employee, say you have a CA who will be filing taxes on behalf of your organization. You can select non-employee option, enter the deductor name, father's name, deductor designation, and save the settings. After taxes, we have pay schedule. In the pay schedule, you will be configuring how, what are the payable days in a week in your organization. So this is nothing but working days in a week. You are, in case here we have set it as Monday to Friday. So next we have salary month. So how you will be paying your employees? Is it actual days in a month? Say in the month of June, we have 30 days and July 31 days. So if you are selecting actual days in a month, it will be as per the calendar days in a month. In case if you are selecting organization working days, you can select standard days for every month, irrespective of calendar days. Your salary will be calculated on the as per the days you have selected. And next we have pay on date. So this is nothing but when do you want to pay your employees, whether last working day of every month, or else if you want to pay it on a particular date, say first of every month, or fifth of every month, you can select the date from the list, and then you can move to the next option. So next we have first pay run. In the Zoho Payroll, if you are starting if you have signed up for Zoho Payroll in the month of April, you can select April month, or else if you are signing up in the middle of the month, you can select the respective month and select the paid on date and save the settings. Here, once you save the settings, next we have completed the one-time configuration. So here, after one-time configuration, what exactly we will have to do? So here, after completing this one-time configuration, you will be onboarding the employees. How do we onboarding employees? Employees onboarding can be done in three ways. One is manually, you can add manually into the Zoho Payroll organization, or else bulk import. Preparing an Excel sheet, you will be able to import the data into the Zoho Payroll organization. In case if you are using Zoho People, and if you have integrated with the Zoho Payroll organization, you can sync the employee information from the Zoho People as well. So we will see how to prepare the next. After adding the employees, we will see the salary components. Let's just import the employee details into the Zoho Payroll now. So to import employee details, you will have to prepare the data first. So what data has to be imported? So in the Zoho Payroll, to import employee details, you need employee number. So the sample sheet is available in the Zoho Payroll. The sample sheet will contain all this information. Here, employee number, first name, middle name, last name, gender, date of joining, designation, work email address, department, work location name. Then we have portal enable, whether you want to enable the portal for the employees or disable portal. Then employee status, personal email address, father's name is mandatory in the Zoho Payroll, date of birth, PAN number, and payment information. Payment information, if you are mentioning payment information, payment mode as check, then you don't have to add any account number or other details. But if you are selecting bank transfer, then other information like account type, IFSC code, account number, bank name, bank holder name are mandatory. Once you have this information with you, you can import it into the Zoho Payroll application. To import the data into the Zoho Payroll application, click on the three dots, import data, select the file, proceed, load, select the file. Here, the first column is payroll data, Zoho payroll fields, and the second column is the Excel sheet fields. So you will have to map the Zoho payroll fields with the Excel sheet fields. So here, while preparing the salary, this employee details, you need to make sure the format for date of joining, date of birth, and last working day has to be same as per the Excel sheet. You need to select that from the list, and then you can import the details. So once this is done, the employee details will be imported into the Zoho Payroll application. Next, we will be moving to salary details. So for importing salary details and statutory details as well, you need to prepare the data. So what data has to be prepared here? So while preparing the salary details Excel sheet, you need to follow these points. So while preparing the details, make sure the CTC is annual amount. The individual components like basic HRA, medical allowance must be monthly values. In case if you have any variable pay components, it should be annual amount. If any deductions like gratuity, employer contribution are there, then that amount should be added and it should be monthly amount. So now, in case of reimbursements, if you have any reimbursements component, if you have any FBP components, then how do you add it in the Excel sheet? So for reimbursements, if it is a normal reimbursements, then it will be have two options. One is monthly amount and the other one is reimbursement carry forward. Okay. Then in case of FBP components, we have you will create four reimbursement fields columns here. One is reimbursement monthly amount, reimbursement enabled, reimbursement maximum amount, reimbursement carry forward. So next, how do you handle FBP components? For FBP components, we have FBP amount column, FBP enabled, and FBP maximum amount. So whenever you are preparing, salary details based on the components, if it is earning, there will be only one component. In case of reimbursements, two fields. In case of FBP, reimbursements as an FBP, four, and normal FBP, three fields, three columns. Okay. Next, we will see how to import this into the Zoho Payroll application. So to import the salary details into the Zoho Payroll application, you need to click on three dots, import data, salary details, select the file, upload the file, map the fields, import. Then after that, the data will be imported into the Zoho Payroll application. So we have just covered how to import the salary details into the Zoho Payroll application. So in this session, we have covered summary of part one. Okay. So in this session, we have covered prerequisites, one-time setup, employee onboarding and data preparation, and Data import. Thank you for joining this expert talk session today. I hope you found this session useful. If you have any questions related to Zoho Payroll, kindly drop an email to support@zohopayroll.com. Our support team will assist you.